Hey y'all, play button, and this is the Jupe again. Um, I know my face is probably too close to the camera, but it's because I want you guys to hear me because I'm going to share something. I'm going to start talking about Corazón Mysti Force. I want to keep you guys up to par with what I'm doing because I like sharing what I do with certain people, and especially my lovelies deserves to hear what I've been doing. On my spare time when I don't have anything else to do, when I'm not doing this, that, this. I'm a writer, so it's actually kind of funny to me. Talking about my baby, you know. Well, in part one, of course, on Mysti Force, you get introduced to the first two characters who are actually fighting, which actually tells you that it's a struggle between heaven and hell. It's between Archangel Miguel and the left red-eyed devil, Diego. They are both mystics, just like the characters of my first season. One is bad and one is good, which just makes it a little bit different. Starts off with a bad and good, a struggle between good and evil, and they end up having a stalemate, and they separate and they go their different ways. One goes down to the underworld and talks to, of course, El Mal Uno, the evil one. When I will have to say his name, you know who I'm talking about. And he consorts with him that he goes to join with Los Vampiros, which is actually a neighboring conglomerate that resides in the underworld. Um, so he joins with them and they start carrying out the ultimate plan. Meanwhile, Miguel goes up to heaven and has a talk with the Lord. And they pretty much make up their own, God makes up his own mind to take one of his ultimate steps and send forth the calling of um, fighting angels who have been residing inside of the hearts of humans for quite some time. And he calls forth a little cherub girl named Lupe. She goes down to heaven, well, down to earth, which is actually referred to as the land of greenery, or El Mundo de Vegetación, and she ends up with her crossing paths with a young collegian named Manuel de la Fuego, which means Manuel of the Flame, Manuel of the Fire. So he's actually, for his name gives it away. He's actually the first hero. He has a spat with his roommate, and it's just a playful thing, but it ends up with him having to owe him something. So he promises to treat him to a guy's night out. The girlfriend comes over with the roommate, and they exchange words. Ends up later on the day, he pretty much goes out and to the beach after feeling, like he's inferior, like he doesn't really matter. He leaves after promising to go to a pep rally, but he just doesn't feel like he needs to go. He ends up meeting a young man named Santiago, who works with his mom, his elder brother, and his twin other sisters um, at a flower shop, and they end up hitting off and they become good friends. It leads up to a promise with Manuel saying that he'll visit the shop sometime, like tomorrow, and Lupe finds Manuel and starts following him because she feels that he has a good heart. So she follows him, and he goes back to the dorm, and he finds Chicago is distraught. Turns out that Chicago's girlfriend cheated on him, his whole football team, and the coach. So he ended up breaking up with her, and his heart's broken. So Manuel treats him to that guy's night out instead of just promising to go to um, the pep rally. But take a thought, it was Chicago said he'll treat him to a guy's night out, and it ended up them exchanging the vows on what they was going to do. So this happens. They go to a dance concert for the homecoming of a dance group called Super Estrella. It's a brother sister group. Their dance team, pretty famous down there in Rio de Cristal, which is actually a famous city in Mexico. It's fictional, but it's a famous city because its crime rate is high. So it's not a good city to live in for certain people. Uh, and Yeah, it leads up with the first villain of the day who was selected prior, named Norte, ruining everything and um, pissing off Manuel. And Lupe ends up coming down and giving him his transformation item called a La Firma. His is La Firma de Sol, which just means the sign of the sun, and he turns into Corazon Rojo, and he Rojo means red, and Corazon means heart, so it's red heart, or heart red, or whichever way you want to describe it. He learns how to use energia espiritual, which is spiritual energy, to fight, and leads up to some very spiritual street fighting on his part. He's actually a ninja who studies taijutsu, but he was pissed off, so he didn't feel like doing no methods. He just wanted to beat the shit out of that monster. And Norte, because the first monster that he defeats actually by himself with just that power is called Vampiro Bestia, or Vampire Beast. It ends up with him defeating the monster and Norte being chased away. Um, and at the end of the day, the young man Manuel reflects on what happened during the day. He met a friend. He found out he's a superhero, and he accepts the fact that he's now a warrior for Christ, and that he has to defeat the plots of the underworld so that his fellow man will not be completely destroyed, because the time of the end has not come yet. So the time of the end is not going to come, according to well, Lupe has pretty much told him in secret. I don't say it in the story, but it's going to be mentioned. Um, and it also reveals that Miguel has been ordained as the guardian angel of Los Guerreros Santos, which means the Holy Warriors, but they're also known as Los Señores Divinos Cuatro, which means the Heavenly Gentlemen Four. But there's a secret, because there are actually more warriors, as you can see. So we don't know who's going to join up with who, or who's going to be able to power to who, or what's going to happen. So I'm still thinking about that. I'm writing in my journal about what I want to do, so I can tell you what's going to happen. So I might change my ideas. Anyway, I'll tell you about part 2 in the next video, which will not be long from now. Alright, stop button, and I love you, and God bless.